My name is Steph. I'm a director, producer for short uh, vertical series. I am based in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
How would you define a short drama? How is different from traditional series?
So short dramas, I would define it as like if a soap opera and an MOW had a baby and it's really fast paced and you watch it on your phone.
How is it different from traditional series?
For vertical dramas, the storylines are or the plot points are like you discover the stories really fast. It has an immediate hook. You have to be able to capture your audience within the first couple of minutes while they're watching it. It's very tropey. It is its own genre and it does play with and use a lot of tropes.
Why do you think short drama have become so popular? What makes them resonate with the audience?
I think the audiences, especially for the vertical world, they want kind of an escape and they want something that is, like not super realistic, but something that's very entertaining and very very attention grabbing and very quick, right? So episodes are usually like super short and there's a lot of like plot twists in these things that keep the audiences very hooked. And yeah, and I guess people watch it for the stories and now I would say they also watch it for the actors that are in it. There are quite a number of actors in the vertical world that's becoming very popular and would have their own fan bases. So that I feel like that's also a factor.
The audience want to watch the short dramas because of the actors. Do you think it's gonna be a trend?
I think so. Some of the actors being really popular or being very recognizable if they're doing like a lot of like these short dramas and fans and audiences see them in different platforms, in different stories. I think there is something that resonates with the audience when they see people on screen that they like and that they follow and they admire.
Is there a formula for creating a hit short drama?
I think there must be. There are so many ones that have become popular with like millions and millions of views and impressions. Yeah, I think there definitely must be a formula. There is a lot of data behind. It's a very data-driven industry, I would say.
So what's the formula?
Great stories, good performance, good acting, and like a very like over the top, almost scandalous, very intriguing beginning of a story is usually like a good thing to start with.
But it's also the same in films, right?
I think so, but with vertical dramas, you don't have a whole first act. Like you don't have a whole first act like set up as you would like in a film. Like for film, there's so many like different genres that follows a certain story arc, right? And sometimes like a film is like good in the beginning or it's not that great in the beginning and then it gets good and then it kind of like hooks you into like a slow burn type of thing. But I think in verticals, it kind of plays with the arc, like the story arcs a little bit because you really have to like start on a high and then kind of just go from there. It has to be something that would immediately like grab the audience's attention. Whereas in film, like you would know what the film is about and you would follow it for the story, but sometimes nothing super duper big happens at the beginning, right? But like with vertical dramas, there needs to be something big that happens in the beginning that would just want you to see the rest of it.
How did you get into the short drama industry?
I have been working in the film industry for close to 15 years now, and about nearly 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I was asked to help produce a short vertical series. And at that time, vertical dramas are still kind of emerging in Canada in general. Like vertical drama production is not yet as big as it is now. And so I didn't understand what it is. I was just like, okay, it's a job. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna help out. And then, yeah, I read the script and I was a little surprised by it. I remember it is kind of like a werewolf themed um love story at that time. I guess like werewolf dramas were very popular. And yeah, I was just intrigued by it. And the more that I tried to learn about it, I realized that it is an emerging industry. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try, and I'll stick around and see where it could lead. And almost 2 years later, here we are. It's becoming very popular. There are already a lot of vertical productions in and around Canada, not just in Ontario, not just in Toronto, but in other Canadian provinces as well. So yeah, it's getting big. It's getting popular here.
Hi, I'm Maggie Han, founder of Short Drama Alliance. People think short dramas are innovative because it's short or vertical. But the real game changer is paid traffic. That's what reshape how short dramas are written. I explain this in my booklet, Short Drama Writing 101, links in the description.
I'm glad to hear that's getting popular in Canada. Let's talk about like female perspective. Do you
Mhm.
think female creators have strength or unique perspective in short drama storytelling?
I think so. I feel like um, a lot of these stories that are a lot of the scripts that we have in the vertical world are very female oriented, and the audience is also predominantly females. So having kind of like a unique perspective, as like for me, like I am queer, but I am assigned female at birth. So having experiences and having like lived and perceived as a woman really kind of helped me see these scripts for sometimes the problematic aspects of it, and kind of look at it from a different lens and see how we could reframe it, right? Since a lot of our audiences are females, I personally don't want to um, put content out there that is potentially problematic and could be harmful to our audiences. And also, I feel like for women, like women are very detail oriented. And so that really helps us in kind of making these films or making these like vertical dramas a bit more elevated in terms of just knowing and spotting little details. It could be in the costumes or hair and makeup or production design or just like the general tone and emotion of the film. I feel like that's something that female creators are able to bring to the table aside from spotting things in the stories and in the scripts that we could improve or we could change.
Or can you give me a personal example of it?
Personal example. So for a few of the series that I've done, there are a lot of there are some scenes that are quite uh derogatory to women. And I feel like there are things that we could tweak a little bit in terms of like just dialogues and lines that wouldn't be kind of like offensive to the female audience and to our actors. So for example, like I've done a couple of BDSM themed content genre, and obviously, as someone who has a little bit of knowledge in that particular world, I made sure that we had like a BDSM consultant on set, and I made sure that all our female actors are feeling safe and like respected within the scenes that we are doing, and we were able to consult with the writers of these scripts to be like, oh, you know, this one is potentially harmful, or this one is not really true to like the BDSM or like the kink community and might send a wrong message to our viewers and our audience out there. And so those little things that we can do on our end to just make the script better and make it like a more impactful show with intentionality, I feel.
So have you noticed any changes in the female characters in the short drama scripts you've read? And what kind of changes have you seen, and what changes would you like to see in the future?
Yes, I would say that there is a lot more female empowerment stories out there. I am actually working on a vertical right now. We are in the middle of filming something. This is something that we have collaborated on with the platform in terms of like the script. So they gave us a concept and we have developed like a script for it. There is a bit more like freedom to like how we write the characters, especially the female characters in the script, right? So we wanted to make sure that they don't appear like always weak and always helpless and always needing to be saved and things like that. So I think in itself, for me, that's a win because we're creating something that is not very usual in the vertical series world, and I'm very excited for it. It looks great, like it's very stylized. The dialogues are making more sense. The story is kind of, it's still within like a mafia genre and things like that, but at least there's more intention and we're being very detail oriented about it. So I hope that it becomes more like that. I hope that there would be more original scripts out there wherein creatives and platforms are able to collaborate and explore different possibilities of what these scripts could be, and what these vertical dramas could look like, right? I feel like there is a world wherein these things could be elevated or these things could be improved by way of either the stories or the scripts or the production value and or even like the practices in general, like production practices in general. That's what I'm hoping for.
So the platform give you a treatment
Yeah, they gave us a concept. They gave us like a few like characters that should be in the story. And then we kind of like develop like a story and an outline. And then once they've approved the outline, we went ahead to do like a scripting for it, and then we had a draft script and they checked it, and then they gave us notes and we refined it and edited the script, and then now we're in production.
if you could create your own short drama series centered on women, what kind of story would you want to tell?
Oh, I would love kind of like a murder mystery type of story. The lead character or like the lead investigator or the heroine of the story is, you know, obviously like our lead female. Murder mystery is like very kind of like a popular genre and something that is good to play with. There are a lot of like angles to it, and I think like there are transferable things into like a vertical. Who killed this person? And there's like a lot of hooks that you could build into it so that it could kind of like fit into a vertical. So I feel like maybe a murder mystery thing could be a vertical genre in the future. I would love to make something like that because like escape rooms, like those games where you're in an escape room, something like that.
What's the future of short dramas?
The future of short dramas. I would love for short dramas to be a bit more mainstream in North America and in Europe, like in the Western world in general. Like I know that it's like really big in China and like other parts of Asia, but I would love to see it evolve into something that is more tailored for the North American audience and for like the Western audience in general. I think that that is the natural progression of it. Remember before there used to be like Blockbuster or those VHS rentals and things like that before there were streaming platforms, right? And then after that, there streaming platform became popular, and then that kind of like popularity like trickled into a mobile first kind of content creation like reels and TikToks, and like even like YouTube has those like vertical things now. And then I feel like vertical dramas are kind of like a natural progression of things to become mainstream like that. So I hope that that's where it's going. I hope that alongside of that, it also means that the vertical series that we're doing becomes like a bit more elevated. Like I hope there'd be like original stories and different kinds of audiences as well that we could expand to.